before. There's part of the picture, and there's the other part. Just then, Mayor McTwiddle waddled over. "What in heaven is going on here?" he cried. "Look at her hat! Look at her in that hat!" cried one. "This mess never would have happened if she hadn't put on that horrible thing," said another. "Now, Miss Hunnycutt," said the mayor, "we can't have your hat laying eggs when the Queen comes by, now can we? That would do it all. Therefore, as the royal mayor of Littleton, I must demand that you remove that ghastly thing this instant." "I will not," she replied in a voice that was now getting loud and sure. "I have the right to wear what I like, and I won't wear a flounder, and I won't wear an orangutan, but I will wear a chicken, and I will wear it on my head." Oh my, Miss Hunnycutt's getting bold. Good for her. "It's an abomination," the crowd shouted. "The Queen will laugh at us as she rides by. She'll just drive right on by." The mayor thought for a moment, and as he did at such times, he placed a finger on the tip of his nose. "There must be a law against wearing a chicken hat. And if there isn't, well, then there should be. Therefore, I have no choice but to put you, Miss Hunnycutt, in jail." This made her mad indeed. "You can't do that," she cried. "Just what do you mean by telling me what I can do and can't do? Why, I'm the mayor," said the mayor. "What do I mean?" said Miss Hunnycutt. "I mean corn cobs." "Corn cobs?" asked the mayor. "Corn cobs," said the crowd. Wow. "Corn cobs," Miss Hunnycutt said again. "Every night, exactly at 8, Mr. Yotta likes to juggle corn cobs in his polka dot underwear." "Yes, it's true," Mr. Yotta said reluctantly. Then he took out 6 corn cobs and began to juggle. The children in the crowd clapped. "Now, Miss Bisbee," continued Miss Hunnycutt, "she talks to her cats like they're people and dresses them up in clothes, and they're very well dressed indeed. And you, Mr. Mayor—" Yes, yes, yes," said the mayor, "but what on earth has this to do with you and your hat?" "Well," said Miss Hunnycutt, "if you're going to put me in jail for doing something you think is silly, then you'll have to put the whole town in too, because, as you see, they're just as silly as me." Mused the mayor, putting his finger on the tip of his nose. "Good point. A very good point indeed." Just then the courthouse clock struck 3, and a boy called down from the tower, "Here she comes! Here comes the Queen!" Oh dear. And here's the guy juggling his corn cobs. That's pretty silly. The mayor rushed to the stand at attention beside the road. Behind him was the Littleton Tuba and Tambourine Band, the Ladies' Snooker Club, the Gentlemen's Yodeling Society, and the townspeople. And all the way in the back was Miss Hunnycutt and her chicken hat. Everyone waved and hurrahed and hurrahed as the longest, blackest, shiniest automobile anyone had ever seen whooshed down Main Street. And just when it seemed as though the Queen was going by to whisk right by, as always, the auto suddenly stopped. Then 7 royal guards leaped about like cats to help her out. So the Queen is getting out. Ooh, that's never happened before. Oh dear. My goodness. The Littletonians gasped at the sight of the Queen. She wore a purple velvet cape, a dress that seemed to be woven from threads of sunlight, and slippers covered with bits of fallen stars. The Queen marched past the mayor. Then she marched past the tuba and tambourine band, the Ladies' Snooker Club, and everyone else until she stood before Miss Hunnycutt. The crowd whispered and wondered how the queen would punish her for wearing so hateful a hat. A minute passed and the queen clapped her hands 3 times. The royal guards jumped into the auto and everyone bent their necks trying to see what was happening. Oh dear, would Miss Hunnycutt get to wear her hat? I don't know. At last they came out, grandly carrying the queen's hat. The little Tonians could not believe what they saw. It was a red hat with festoons of yellow ribbons and tiny pink roses. There was a little bow in the front and a happily gobbling turkey on top. Oh my, oh my. With her hat properly in place, the queen then spoke. My dear, that is the most glorious hat, she said. Would you care to trade? Miss Hunnycutt looked her right in the eye. I have the right to wear what I like, and I won't wear a platypus, and I won't wear a wombat, but now that I think of it, I might wear a turkey on my head. With their new hats just placed so, the queen turned to go, but before she did, she had a word with Miss Hunnycutt. I'm having a little bash for the usual kings and queens of the world. Why don't you pop up and pop by? Well, that might be pleasant, Mrs. Hunnycutt replied. And the 2 new friends walked arm in arm to the longest, blackest, shiniest automobile anyone had ever seen, and they drove away. In the months that followed, first 10, then 20, then all the ladies of Littleton were seen wearing chicken hats of their own. Even the gents went about with chicken style of their own. Finally, the town settled down to calm and quiet. Then one day, Miss Hunnycutt stepped outside her door to do her 3 o'clock shopping. She looked the same as always, with her hair in a small bun, a canary yellow dress, and the same blue traveling coat. A goosehead umbrella was hooked on her arm in case of rain. But today, she wore a new hat that came all the way from Bombay. It was green with pink ribbons and bows all about it. Oh my, oh my. I wonder what this one's going to look like. And oh yes, on top, looking quite handsome and content, was a very pleased and grinning porcupine. And that, my dear children, is the story of Mrs. Hunnycutt's new hat. And that is the end. What are you looking at? What are you thinking? Not quite sure what's going on out there. All right, goodbye. We'll see you next time.